All right, good morning, Hoosier fans. This is Hoosier Morning After Nebraska. A victorious, hey, that's fun to say, isn't it? A victorious edition of Hoosier Morning After. You Hoosiers take care of business twice against Nebraska, once at home and this time at their house, scoring a wonderful, exciting, much needed, hard to get, very elusive to many people, road Big Ten win. Hoosiers win 82-74. Pretty good effort overall by the team. Hats off, as coach would say. Hats off to Nebraska. They played tough. They played strong. Physical team. Did their best against our bigs. That was their biggest downfall going into it. Obviously, was they don't have very much size compared to what we have. We were able to dominate that and use that to our advantage. So good game planning by the coaching staff on this, on what to do against this team. A lot of stuff that was done, obviously, is not going to be repeatable to other teams. But overall, a pretty good outing by the team. Game, obviously 2 days away, so refreshing myself looking at the play-by-play here on ESPN. Pretty good back and forth, obviously, to start the game. Nebraska takes the early lead at the beginning of the half, and kind of IU is able to stay and claw within range. Never really gets out to a 10-point lead or so. Then at the 6-minute mark of the first half is when the game was first tied. Armaan Franklin comes in, makes a 3-point jumper assisted by Joey Brunk. He was a good shot in the arm. Guard play struggled a little bit this game. Not a lot, not to be detrimental enough to call it a negative, really. Just say that they had some troubles. Armaan Franklin, who has had some tough play of recent, has showed his freshman stripes. Came into this game and kind of dusted some of that off and played good, played aggressive, played within the game. So yeah, we take it to 30-30 at about the 6-minute mark of the first half. Then from then on out, we don't allow them to ever come back. Good play in the first half, ending the first half 46-41. Indiana right there, just 4 points shy of their point total from the Rutgers game. So almost beat ourselves in one half compared to the previous game in scoring. Good game planning going in, obviously, into the locker room, up by 5, and the team did not let up. They came out, kept pounding it underneath, looking at the first 4 scores actually of the second half. Joey Brunk makes a jumper, Trace makes a jumper, Joey made a jumper, then Trace made a layup. So they kind of pack back and forth. We had good defensive stops at that point too. We're able to eventually then stretch out the game to our biggest lead by about the 13-minute mark, I think it was. Let me see here. About the 13-minute mark or so, we break the game out to our highest lead. We get it up to 6-minute mark with which would be 70-58 at the 10-minute mark. Sorry, I'm getting a little lost here in my things. Pardon me. Joey Brunk was the one that did it for us. I wanted to make sure I credited the right person. About the 13-minute mark, Joey makes a layup, assisted by Devontae Green. Gives us up by 19. And then hats off to Nebraska. Being down that much, they did not want to go out like that at home. Home court advantage helped them in that. The student section, all their fans rallied behind them. And IU goes on not necessarily a large scoring drought, but what we tend to find a lot, what happens with this team is we have to have a scoring drought at some point, evidently, during every game. I think in this game, since we were up so much, I think that was just due to laziness and the team realizing the big lead and just relaxing too much, not attacking at that point. If we could have just kept our foot on the accelerator and pushed through this, then we could have kept that lead. But we fell upon more of the outside play, settled for 3-point shots, early shots, and we end up going scoreless except for a few free throws all the way up until the 4-minute mark, where Joey Brunk breaks that by scoring a jumper, and at that point they had cut the lead in half. So at that point, Indiana gets back into it. We continue to play inside out and obviously close out the game. Overall, I really thought this team did a good job sharing the ball, passing the ball. The movement was stronger, crisper, and that shows in the stats. I believe this is our highest assist total in the season so far, 21 assists. Sadly, slightly that gets negated by our turnover ratio of 21 to 16. Could have been better, I think, and I think we committed 9 of those in the that little scoring drought there, or close around to it in the second half. I just started to get careless with the ball. There were a few unforced ones with travel, guys shuffling their feet before they got going. Just things that didn't look strong enough for the team. The team making mental mistakes there almost caused them to get back enough into the game and claw back into it. But cleaned it up, got the win. Looking at the assist distribution, it's great to see a lot of guys in the 4 assists realm. Everyone played meaningful minutes that I think could have out there. We lacked a little bit of delivering from our upperclassmen, but playing against a team like Nebraska that was troubled in size, Indiana's game plan obviously was to go underneath and utilize our bigs the best we can, and that shows on the stat sheet as well, with our highest scoring guys being our most potent big guys on the team, Trace Jackson Davis, with them a little bit. Hey, studio might be on. So, hey, if it dropped out, I see you guys might be back on there. Internet might have had some trouble. Talking a little bit about guard play. Armand had some good play. Defensively, he is still struggling moving his feet, getting where he needs to be, and he compensates for that and gets a little too handsy for it. Gets a lot of hand check fouls called against him. Let me see how many personal fouls. He went with 3 personal fouls. I guarantee you probably almost all of those were from hand check on defense there. Rob again, great defense. He was our best defensive option against Knack. Did a good job of shutting him down. Al just struggled to keep those guys around, but that's going to happen in games like this where we have good guard play on the opposing side. Al can struggle sometimes with the defense of that. And Devontae came in and did some decent good minutes. Devontae, I saw in the second half when we were struggling, he was at least still trying to get the ball underneath. That's been one of my credits that I want to give to him. Whenever we have struggled in those little scoring droughts, he has always been a good player to look to get that ball down below. A lot of times it's when Duran's in there. It might be a buddy senior classmates thing. I'm going to get you the ball, get you when in your limited minutes that you find nowadays. I'm going to get you the ball so you can try to get some scoring for you. Duran went in, no personal foul, so yay for that. No weird, crazy foul from the refs against Duran. Maybe that bad luck is done for him. 6 minutes, 2 for 2, got some rebounds, so he played fairly well, did some decent things, had an amazing skyhook. And then I think it's just a matter of fact that Trace and Joey had already established themselves and were dominating and doing a good job in the game that limited the minutes that Duran got. Joey also, oddly, during a drought of getting the ball underneath and them crowding the paint immediately when touches got in there, hitting a 16-footer, hitting that weird little floater as well. Hey, good on him. If he can throw those up there, I don't mind, especially in a game like this against a team that is not very big. If you know you've got Trace under there and he's in decent position to grab a rebound, and you're going to receive the ball there at the free throw line and no one's going to come up and guard you, by all means, chuck it up there, big man. See what happens. You got Trace and Justin piling in there to get the rebound, and at a few points during the game, that was kind of our best offense. We were able to get guys that missed shots and get the rebounds and put back up. Speaking of those rebounds too, we were 48 rebounds overall. Second chance points 15, pretty good. Points in the paint 40, obviously. Other good numbers. Our three shooting was good. Was pretty good, closer to our standard average. Got a little worse in the second half, but we end 8 for 26, which is good for 30%. And our field goal percentage hovering there around 50, almost exactly 50, 31-61. So that's pretty good. And free throws could have been a little bit better, 12 of 20, 60%. But again, not as many attempts as we normally have, but decent makes within that. Nothing that's going to be something you want to argue about too much. But obviously the worst stat, if you want to take some negatives out, other than the scoring drought that we normally do, is the turnovers, 16 turnovers. Not a very good thing. The positive to that bad turnovers is that Nebraska was only able to turn that into 13 points. Other teams are going to take a little bit more advantage of things, mistakes like that. So definitely something that you got to watch. Someone I want to pimp out to you guys, Twitter-wise, you need to follow Hoosier HQ, Indiana HQ, at Indiana HQ. They do a great lineup breakdown at the end of all the games, talking about plus minuses with the different lineups and who does well and everything. With a high rotation team like we have, and coach has kind of obviously gone back, said that he was going to shut down some minutes and slow the rotations, but I believe that's kind of gone a little bit by the wayside again, as a formula that we've kind of needed to go to was finding who's got the hot hand of the game, who's able to continue to do a good job for us in the game. So if you look at, they do a great little infograph for this last game. The biggest usage lineup, not a surprise. It's pretty standard for coach. Was our starting lineup was in there for the most at 9 minutes. When you start to look at plus minuses, the biggest plus minus person from this game was Armand Franklin. And that shows when you start to look at the top lineups by it. So the top lineup plus minus was plus 10, and that was with Fennessy, Franklin, Hunter, Jackson, Davis, and Brunk. Went with a little bit faster of an outside. Those guys again, and same for the second highest. You just substitute Smith for Hunter, and you got the second highest plus minus lineup. So yeah, I think obviously the common thread there was that Franklin was able to step up, do a good job, contribute his minutes, earn more minutes. Obviously we haven't seen him in the lineup as much recently, so he did a good job of continuing to build on his skill set and something that is going to play dividends for us going into the future. So that's a great thing to look at. Moving forward past this game, it's going to be a rough one, guys. We need to have a lot of patience with this team. We need to support them big time. If you live anywhere close to Assembly Hall, you need to get to these games. We need to give them energy. We need to win all of our home games. We need to defend our court. And then we need to struggle and fight. If you live anywhere near any of the away games, go there, try to support these guys, yell and scream. You've probably heard say many times, and it's something that's being driven home. We have the second hardest remaining schedule in the nation. A lot of good opportunities to put in some good wins, but also the weird negative to say, I'm not going to say it too much, but no bad losses. We can get no bad losses from that. Still have to pile up some wins. You definitely need to pile up some wins. As we learned by the tournament last year, they definitely leaned more towards, even though if they said more strength of schedule, towards the quantity, I should say, of those wins to get into the tournament. That being said as well, Coach Tonsoni's boys over there at Delphi Bracketology did some numbers dumping and everything, and looking at Indiana's non-conference strength of schedule, it is ranked 43. And everyone always likes to kind of poo-poo some of our non-conference schedule and everything, say it was cupcakes. Yes, it was tough. It was built the way it needed to be with this kind of team to ease us into it. Had this team come out and played really hard teams and lost, we would be at such a different place right now. This team needed that to try to find something. Those little offensive woes that we have now, I can only imagine how bad they would have gotten had we not had those games to get into it. Anyways, look at closer at the Delphi Bracketology. For comparison to that, other Big Ten teams, they say here, Minnesota, again, ours is 43. Minnesota's is 52. Illinois is 241st. Penn State, 315th. Wonder if their fans are yelling about their strength of schedule. Michigan came in at 127, and Iowa at 170. Other notable ones, Kentucky's 186th. So, nothing to... Some of those games, some of those teams that we've played have done decently this year. So they've built up their ranking. Those early non-conference wins have sweetened a little bit. They've done a lot more for us than we really expected them to, beyond helping cohesion and build confidence and get this team ready. So next up for the Hoosiers is going to be one of the harder road games. We play Michigan State on Thursday. Again, everyone get there. Get to that game. Cheer, loud, scream. They're going to be out for blood. Their fan base is going to be out for blood. Our struggling team last year beat them twice. Was the biggest enigma of last year's season and last year's struggles for us to beat the best team in the Big Ten and lose to who we did in that stretch. So anyways, Michigan State's going to come in strong. They're going to come in hard. I look for Rob to have a bounce-back game. He tends to step up when he's got this other player to play against, and he will definitely need it. They've got one of the best point guards, probably could arguably say the best point guard in the Big Ten. Heading that team, we need to block him off. We need to throw him off his game. That is where we were successful last year, and where Rob stepped up big time again. We may not see it on the stat sheet on the offensive side from Rob, but we need to see it on the defensive side. We need to see Rob shutting him down, Winston down. He can't get going. Interesting thing last year as well was when we had these games, it was a team rallying type of game. These were games where Indiana as a whole was able to come together and win. Because if you remember, I can't remember completely if it was the away meeting or the home meeting, but our best player, Juwan Morgan, sat out for half the game. And the rest of the team rallied around and came back, and we won that game. So we need to get there. Everyone get to Assembly Hall, scream and shout, cheer them on. We need this one. This one's a good one to get. Defend home court. It's going to be a tough one. Defense is going to win this one for us. I'm going to predict on this because we need to shut them down. It could be a very low-scoring game. We can't get into a three-chucking game. We got to play inside out like we have been. We've got to move the ball around. I want to see, again, high assists have got to continue. We've got to find the shooters. We've got to get the big guys down below with good big high assists, dishing it to each other, getting to the basket themselves. They're going to get double teamed again. That is going to be what we're going to see. That's going to be the norm. We are not going to see easy baskets. We're not going to see very many chances for Joey or Trace to back their guy in and shoot a hook shot or a layup or whatever. They're going to get double teamed almost every time because a higher percentage, if you're scouting and playing against Indiana, is to pull that double team and force us to try to shoot the three. We've gotten a little bit better in rhythm when those circumstances have happened, but that's also a way that we can go cold quickly and we can start forcing things. So we've got to be patient on offense. We got to stay strong on defense. So yes, look for that game. Cheer them on big time. That's going to be quite a game against. So that'll do it for today. Guys, follow me on Twitter at General Chadwick. Also subscribe this video down below. I will see you guys next time. Have a good day. Go out there, be a good Hoosier, and don't forget to smile, guys. Have a good one.